Last night was an ugly game for the Boston Red Sox. The one positive, though, James Paxton. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. It feels like over the last couple of weeks, one of the literal only positives with this Red Sox team has been their starting pitching. Of their starting pitchers, James Paxton's really been the most impressive so far this season, and with a recent performance last night that went really well, it has a lot of fans talking about whether or not the Red Sox should think about extending James Paxton past the 2023 season because his contract is up at the end of the year. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down the James Paxton situation. We're going to talk about some reasons maybe why the Red Sox should extend him. We're going to talk about some reasons maybe the Red Sox shouldn't extend him. And we're going to try and figure out what the best course of action is for the Boston Red Sox when it comes to James Paxton's extension. But before we get into that, just a heads up, we are going to be live tomorrow night talking about the Boston Red Sox on this channel right around 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be watching the Red Sox hopefully try to win a series against the Colorado Rockies. We're going to be talking about stuff like this, who else could possibly be extended, all the Red Sox talks you could want up close and personal. It all starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so like I said, what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down some reasons why the Red Sox should extend James Paxton and take a look at some reasons why they maybe shouldn't extend James Paxton. And I think the best place to start is with the positives. And when we're talking about positives of James Paxton, you have to start with how he's performed so far this year. Because so far in 2023, James Paxton has started 6 games for the Boston Red Sox. And in those 6 starts, James Paxton has just a 3.09 ERA with a really impressive 3.08 FIP, meaning that he's performing right at where his ERA currently is. He's not getting super lucky with that low ERA. He's not getting super unlucky with that low ERA. He's pitching exactly right around that 3.08 range, which is fantastic. That 3.09 ERA is also good for a 1.48 ERA plus. So he's been about 48% more productive on the mound this year than the average pitcher in baseball. On top of that, too, James Paxton currently has the highest strikeout rate of his entire career. If you don't include the one game he pitched in 2021, James Paxton's current 12.4 strikeouts per 9 is the highest of his entire career. So these are great numbers, right? But how do they compare to the rest of Major League Baseball? Well, taking a look at his Baseball Savant page here, there are some really great numbers mixed in here that says, yeah, he's performing well above his competition throughout the rest of the league. He currently is in the 93rd percentile in strikeout rate. He's getting a ton of swing and miss in the 89th percentile in whiff percentage. He's getting a lot of chases on pitches outside of the zone in the 73rd percentile in chase rate, and his expected stats are really good too. His expected ERA is sitting in the 77th percentile, meaning that only 23% of Major League Baseball has a better expected ERA right now than James Paxton. His expected batting average is in the 82nd percentile, and his expected opponent slugging is in the 63rd percentile. So compared to the rest of Major League Baseball, he is at least average or well above average in almost every single important category. But there are more positives beyond just his on-paper statistics that really get me excited about a possible James Paxton extension. And the biggest one to me is just how much of a workhorse Paxton has been since coming back from the IL. Now, granted, again, it's only 6 starts, but of those 6 starts, he has only pitched under 5 innings one time. So only one of those 6 starts has he gone less than 5 innings. He's thrown 100 or more pitches in half of his starts. So 3 out of 6 of his starts, he's thrown 100 or more pitches. And of those 6 starts, he has not allowed more than 6 hits in any single one of them. Every time he gets on the mound, it's almost a guarantee that you are at the very least getting 5 innings from James Paxton, and recently that's looked more like 6 or 7, which is exactly what this Red Sox team has needed and has been something the Red Sox have been missing a bit so far this year. For a while, it felt like none of their starters could get past the 5th inning. Then James Paxton comes along and he sort of switches that up. So far this year, he really has been the definition of reliable reliable and steady for the Boston Red Sox. So in my opinion, when we're asking about what are the positives of James Paxton and a possible extension, you have to look at his on-field performance first and foremost, right? The fact that statistically he has been the best starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox so far this year has a lot to do why people are starting to talk about a possible extension of James Paxton. The fact that in those outings he's given you length, he's given you durability is absolutely fantastic as well, and it definitely adds to the pile on top of that. Plus, on top of that too, he is a great clubhouse personality. He's a guy who a lot of players love to be around, and it makes it a little bit easier for these young guys to talk to players like James Paxton who've had really great success at the major league level. And with this Red Sox team currently, yeah, it makes perfect sense why they would want to keep around a veteran type leader like James Paxton to sort of talk and instill ideas into the young, really awesome pitchers the Boston Red Sox currently have. So those are the positives, but let's talk about some of the things that may be a bit concerning when we're talking about a James Paxton extension as well. The biggest concern about a James Paxton extension is pretty obvious, right? And that's James Paxton's health. The Red Sox have had James Paxton here for 2 years in total. They signed him before the 2022 season. Now, they did sign him injured, so we're not going to really count that against him on the Red Sox. But since coming to the Red Sox, he started with that injury. He was injured coming back from that injury, so he did not pitch at all in 2022. And in 2023, he got off to a late start because of an injury as well. In total, throughout his 2 years with the Boston Red Sox, he has only made 6 total starts. That's in 2 full seasons, right? And on top of that too, when we're looking at James Paxton's career, it's a bit of a trend that he has a tough time staying on the field. Of his 10 years in the league, only 4 of those years he has been able to start 20 or more games, and he has never been able to get through an entire season of 30 plus starts. So yeah, obviously the biggest concern right off the bat is the fact that in his history, James Paxton has not been able to stay on the field, which obviously to the Red Sox is a bit of a problem. They've had a lot of issues over the last couple of years with having their starting pitchers go down. Last year was absolutely terrible. You had like all of your starting pitchers on the IL. Chris Sale is constantly injured, and on top of that too, it seems like every guy you sort of bring in here who is a bit of a veteran type arm gets injured at some point. So that is, to me, by far and away the biggest concern for the Red Sox side of things when looking at a James Paxton extension. But it's more than just that. The other concern I think the Red Sox should at least look at when they're looking at James Paxton and a possible extension are some of his hard hit data, because James Paxton isn't getting hit a lot this year, but when he is getting hit, he is getting hit really, really hard. He is currently ranked in just the 19th percentile in average exit velocity, meaning that about 81% of Major League Baseball is getting hit less hard than James Paxton is right now, and he's in the 35th percentile in hard hit rate, which could be a bit of a concern, one, for the Red Sox when you're looking at whether or not James Paxton can maintain the high level of statistics that he has currently for the 2023 season. But more importantly, when we're talking about extensions in this video, it may be a bit of a concern as to whether James Paxton can maintain his success so far this year over the next couple of years. So that is something to keep in mind as well. But obviously, again, the biggest concern with James Paxton and the possibility of an extension is simply whether or not he can stay on the field. So now that we have both the positives and negatives in terms of whether or not the Red Sox should extend James Paxton, let's talk about what an extension could possibly look like and whether or not James Paxton would even be interested. I think when you're looking at this from a Red Sox front office point of view, it doesn't make a ton of sense to offer James Paxton a long-term deal, right? A 3-4 year contract is a huge risk. One, the Red Sox have been burned by long-term pitching extensions before. Two, James Paxton has an injury of health issues. And three, the Boston Red Sox haven't really been too keen on doing that as of late. So in my opinion, if the Boston Red Sox do want to extend James Paxton, that conversation is going to start with a 1, maybe 2 year deal. For the Red Sox, honestly, that makes sense. I think at the very least, they should at least start thinking about extending James Paxton. One, because he has been an absolute workhorse for you. Two, you need that stability in this rotation, right? Over the next couple of years, you're probably going to see a pretty volatile Red Sox rotation as they try and figure out which young arms are core pieces of this rotation, right? Right now, we're starting to see the real beginnings of that. Whitlock in this rotation, Houck in this rotation. Bayo, I think, is a pretty mainstay, but he's also in this rotation. You've got Cutter Crawford in there right now, right? Which ones of these guys are going to be legitimate pieces to your rotation, and which one of these guys do you need to find roles where they're better suited in, right? We're probably going to see a lot of coming and going from this Red Sox rotation over the next couple of years. So to add in a guy like James Paxton on a 1 to 2 year deal will bring you a bit of consistency and reliability to a rotation that may possibly really need it. So if I'm the Boston Red Sox, yeah, based on his performance this year, it makes total sense why they would at least start thinking or at least talking about extending James Paxton. From a James Paxton point of view, right, I think, one, I'm holding out. Right? If I'm James Paxton, I'm waiting a little bit. I want to see, one, what I look like over the course of an entire season, and two, if I do look like this over the course of an entire season, is there a possibility that another team would offer me more security, a longer term deal? But at the same time, too, Paxton had all the opportunities to go to another team this offseason, at the time fully healthy, and he decided to stay with the Red Sox because he liked the coaching staff, he liked the training staff, and he liked the team itself. So maybe there's a bit of a, yeah, I like being here. Obviously, I still have that injury history. Let's take a 1 to 2 year deal and let's extend our stay in Boston. So I don't really know what James Paxton would be thinking about extension-wise, but I think for the Red Sox, maybe you wait a little bit and see how many starts he can get you for throughout an entire season first before you legitimately come to him with an offer. But in my opinion, it makes total sense to at the very least see if you can try and lock up James Paxton a bit earlier for, at the bare minimum, the 2023 season. Maybe you add in a club option or a player option for 2024 as well. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what would you do? Would you at least think about extending James Paxton? Are you a hard yes? Are you a hard no? Where are you on extending James Paxton and keeping him here on the Boston Red Sox? If you were the front office, if your name was Chaim Bloom, what are you doing? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel to watch the Red Sox again. Praying the Red Sox are able to take this series from the Colorado Rockies and in the red seats.